Hi viewers, welcome back to our channel Make Math Easy. So in the last class already we completed tangents and normals. We already discussed a few important models also, and with the last class we completed tangents and normals. So now we are going into the another topic, and which is the most important topic from the board point of view, that is nothing but maxima minima. Okay, so this is also an application of derivatives only, where you have to find the maximum and minimum value for a function. Okay, so what is actually maxima and minima for a function? These are the basic meanings only, but we are just applying the concept of derivatives also, so that our work will become simple. So the question comes here is, why we have to apply the derivatives concept to find out the maxima and minima for a function. So the main idea here is to bring out the optimum solution. What do you mean by optimum solution is, for example, if I say that I am producing say some x kg of wheat and y kg of some some maize or something like that, then what will happen, I will have, according to my old statistics, I can form some equations from that. So but I may be looking at increasing the profit or reducing the cost of production. These type of some situations will be there. So what I would like to do, I would like to reduce the cost of production or increasing the profit or reducing the labor cost. Like this, I will have some specific conditions to bring the change over some period of time. So what I would like to do, I will do some arrangement for that, so that I can be able to reduce that, I mean reach my target or my goal. So to do this part and all, I have to develop one systematic working model which will help me to come to the solution very quickly. That is why we are bringing in actually a maximum minima. And the same concept application, that is bringing out the optimum solution for any given data, even we can do graphically with the help of linear programming models. That is why we have one chapter now with the name linear programming models. So that is also the same thing only, but we will be getting the information graphically there, and we have a bounded region, unbounded region, where we can find minimum or maximum according to the context. So the point you have to understand here, for every topic that we were learning, it has some sort of real-time application. Okay, but we may not aware of those models, but still those whatever procedures that were given for us had a real-time application, but we may not be aware of it. Simple as that, right? Now coming to this concept, what is actually finding minimum and maximum for a function? So let me tell you one small thing. For example, we already learned in the increasing and decreasing function that a function may not behave consistently in the entire domain. For example, if I take the case of cos function or sine function, f of x is my sine x. If I want to take in the interval 0 to pi by 2, I will take the value, find the differentiation, and I will come to some conclusion that it is increasing in 0 to pi by 2, decreasing in pi by 2 to pi. Like that I will come to some sort of conclusion. So here the point you have to understand is, every curve may not go continuously moving upwards. We may have an ups and downs like this. So whenever you are seeing an ups and downs, you can get a one particular point that is called as a turning point, that we already discussed in the increasing and decreasing. So if you have for example, if this is the curve, if I am taking, you can see here, this is the point 1 where you can see the change in behavior of the curve. Even this is another point, again this is another point, this is another point, and this is another point. So you can observe here, right, there is a change in function behavior at this particular point. So you just let us make little bit analysis of this particular point. We already know that these points are called as a turning points. This we are aware of. Okay. Now just try to observe how this function is behaving. We already learned that as this is increasing, in this particular case f dash of x will be greater than 0, and in this case as it is decreasing, f dash of x is less than 0. Now again here f dash of x will be greater than 0. Okay, so just try to understand only from initial point to say only this particular point. Let us not include this part, only till here I can say. Okay. Now try to observe here. Just you think from your basic knowledge point of view, no need to think of any conceptual thing. In this we are able to identify 2 points where I can name them as a turning points. So these 2 are the turning points here that we are aware of. Now can I say this is the maximum or minimum? Similarly, can I say this as a maximum or minimum? Okay, just think of it. Later I will come to this point. So if you just observe this point here, this curve is increasing and it is reaching to one saturation level, and again it started decreasing. It came down and come to one saturation point again, started increasing again, right? So what is happening, this point I will name it as a minimum point, this point I will name as a maximum point. Okay, so I think you can understand, identify it very clearly. This is the maximum, this is the minimum point. Because so whenever you are able to identify the maximum point, means the function behavior f dash of x is changing from positive to negative, in the sense that it is increasing before, later it is decreasing. So whenever the function started increasing and trying to convert into the decreasing, it gives you the maximum and then it started decreasing. So that means what is happening, the function tries to reach us to the maximum value and it is unable to go beyond that. From there it started again turning back downwards. That's why you are getting that the change in f dash of x is changing from positive to negative. Now observe for the minimum value. For the case of a minimum value, before it is actually less than 0, after it is greater than 0. So what is happening, the sign of f dash of x is changing from negative to positive. Okay, so this is the important point that you have to notice here. So when you have a curve, you can be able to identify where you are getting the function is maximum or minimum. It depends on the sign of f dash of x. So whenever you are getting a sign of f dash of x from positive to the negative, indicating that you are getting the maximum value. If you are getting minimum, means f dash of x will be changing from negative to positive. So just observe here, at this particular point you are drawing a line that is parallel to the x-axis, which means f dash of x value will become 0. When f dash of x is equal to 0, you are able to get a point where it may be maximum or minimum, depends on the sign of f dash of x, right? So as we are talking about here only f dash of x, which is a first derivative, this is called as a first derivative test for the function to identify where it is giving the maximum or minimum. Now the question comes here is, we have graph here, so we are able to see where you are getting the maximum or minimum. But what if I am giving an equation or an expression for which I don't know the graph part? Yes, it is the same procedure only, we are not doing anything new here. We are trying to find out again f dash of x, because it is a simple application of derivatives. For the given function, you will find f dash of x, you will equate to 0, you will get the values of x, something like alpha, beta, gamma. Now at these points, that means you are able to, here what you understood here, you are drawing the tangent at these points and only at this particular points you are able to get the maximum or minimum. So that means at this particular point, if I draw a tangent, I am getting f dash of x is equal to 0, because line is parallel to x-axis, slope will be equal to 0. So that means out of these 3, there should be one minimum, there should be one maximum value, right? Because only at this particular point I can say that f dash of x is equal to 0. So when I equate f dash of x to 0, I will get one corresponding values of x for which there exists some value of f of x where you are getting maximum or minimum. So that means among these 3, there may be one minimum and there may be one maximum value. Maybe for example, if I say x with, if I take an alpha, maybe let us say this is the maximum value. Some at f of beta, let us say I am getting minimum value. So that means you are finding this alpha, beta, gamma, taking these values and you are finding the function value This maxima minima are called as an local maxima, local minima. So what does that mean? Let us say that you are studying in a school. Let us say your school has some other branches also, right? Some say 4 or 5 branches. Now, if you are topper in your class, that means you are local maximum value. Let us say if you are top in among the 4 or 5 branches that your school is having, then that means now you are not taking only your school into consideration, you are taking some other schools which are related to you. So that is called as an global maxima, global minima, or the another name for this is absolute maxima, absolute minima. So there are actually 2 types of maxima minima concepts. One is local, one is absolute. Local in the sense, if in your school, in your section, if you are a topper, then you are at locally maximum value. Let us say among the group of schools that your school is having, if among all the group of schools, if you are the topper, then I can say you are the absolute maximum value of the groups. So try to understand. In this particular case, alpha, beta, gamma, as I am taking only these values into consideration, I am taking this as a local maximum, local minima. For example, if I give you for this particular function, the domain, if I mention as an a comma b. So now I mentioned you domain, that is a comma b, and you are getting alpha, beta, gamma as the roots. So if you are checking the function value at a, alpha, beta, gamma, at b, and if you are looking for the maximum value, then it is called as an absolute maxima or absolute minima. So for the case of a local maxima, local minima, usually they won't mention any interval. Whatever values you are getting after equating f dash of x to 0, obviously only those values will be considered as an local maxima, local minima. So if you are given with interval, that means you are taking other branch schools also into consideration. In the other branch schools, if you are considering, then it is called as a global maximum minima or absolute maximum minima. Okay, so this is the basic concept of maxima and minima. Okay, so maxima and minima is the plural word indicating that it is having, it's a singular word indicating that at only one particular point you are getting the maximum. Because I can say that only, for example, if I say out of 50, I can say only one maximum mark, because if I say in a set of 30 students, if I am getting 47 is the maximum, means I can say only the 47. I cannot say again 48 is the maximum, right? Because 40, if 48 is the highest, means 48 is only the maximum value. That is what it is representing. Okay. So how you can come to a justification that whatever you got maximum minimum values is correct or not? There is another test they suggested which is called as a second order derivative test, that will help you to take a decision whether whatever you got is correct or not. So there is nothing much explanation about this second order derivative test. It's a very simple. Whatever you are getting alpha, beta, gamma, if you find this f dash of alpha, f double dash of beta, f double dash of gamma. So whatever second order derivative that you are finding, if you are getting this f double dash of x value is greater than 0 yet some particular value of x, that is indicating minimum value. If it is less than 0, then it is called as a maximum value. So it is a very crucial result that you have to remember. There is nothing much explanation for this. It is just a simple thing, because it's just a confirmation for your whatever values you are getting, what we got is correct or not. So once if you find the value of an f of x, f dash of x, after equating to 0, you will get the values of alpha, beta, gamma. If you substitute the same alpha, beta, gamma in the functions, you are getting a maximum value or minimum value. Now if f double dash of x is greater than 0, that is then another confirmation test for you that whatever you got maximum at a particular value of x is correct. If it is less than 0 means it is representing maximum value, greater than 0 means it is representing minimum value of the function, right? So this is the actual procedure that we are going to follow for our maxima and minima concept. From this, the weightage for the board exam is, it's an either 3 mark question they will give or a 5 mark question will be given. So 3 mark question, if for example it's a tie actually, there is a question from maxima and minima and LPP. Generally, if this is asked for a 3 mark, then LPP question will go for 5 mark, or if this is go for 5 mark, means LPP question will come for 3 mark. So at least if you are thorough with these two topics, you will get at least 8 marks from this topic, right? Maxima, minima and LPP I am talking about. So the one important thing that you have to understand here is, when it comes to the concept of maxima and minima, it's a very easy for you to understand that. It's a really simple, but you just have to follow step by step procedure for that, so that you will be arriving at answer easily. Okay, right. So this is what the basic introduction of the maxima minima. In the next class, we will start solving the few problems, basic problems. Later we will go into the actual word problems. Okay, hope you enjoy this video. If you like it, try to subscribe to our channel, which will make math easy for you for sure. Thank you guys.